Hey, hi, how's it going? How you doing? Good to see ya. Welcome to the first ever Behind the Edit. I'm going to show you exactly what I did in editing to get to the final product that it was, Uncharted Kid's Fortune. I should also mention that I'm using Final Cut, but you can use whatever that you have at your disposal, be it iMovie, Movie Maker, whatever you got. It's all pretty straightforward stuff here, with the exception of a couple, but I'm still going to cover those for anyone who's interested. So without further ado, let's get started. Now some of you may be wondering, Tristan, how did you get that opening shot underwater? Easy, like this. Alright, but seriously, the first real edit in the short was actually the Google sequence in the beginning. First off, grab your footage, which I used QuickTime Pro's screen capture on my Mac, but whatever you have, you can use. I think QuickTime's free. Is it free? I think it's free. Anyway, then I just grabbed some screenshots and some video of the web pages I was going to use. Then all I did was take the picture that I wanted, dragged it into my timeline, and double-clicked it, and I placed a keyframe at the very beginning of the clip. Then I dragged my picture until I was happy with its position on the screen, and bam, Final Cut animates the clip along the path you've just created. Next. Once again, the next effect in the Google sequence is pretty straightforward. I just basically took more screenshots and placed them on the top and bottom of my frame. I wanted to make them appear blurry and pushed way into the background. So I threw on a Gaussian blur filter to everything there. And you could find that under the effects tab and under the blur filter tab. You'll see it. It says blur. I also put a color corrector on them and darkened everything way down so it's almost like ghosted in the background. Then I took a screenshot of the sentence I wanted to be the main focus, and I dragged it into the middle of the frame, the very middle of the frame. I also wanted some more movement in this shot, so once again, I headed to Google, searched a picture of the color green, and then I just dragged and moved my mouse all over it, and recorded that. It was just to simulate me controlling the mouse in the shot, to give it a sense that it's a video and not just a static picture. Finally, the darken effect was just by taking a solid color, which you can find under the Video Generators tab. Then I just threw on a masking effect and to the shape of an oval. Then I just added a feather, which makes everything nice and soft. So I put that solid color and placed it on the top of all the other clips. Then I just adjusted its transparency to give that fade-in effect. The same style effect is used for the very next shot. It's just also a combination of the first one I showed you and this one. Then nothing really major happens edit-wise in this short until we get to this part. Now this is more of an audio edit than anything else, but if you listen to the original footage, it doesn't sound very cinematic, and I needed to remedy that. First I grabbed a video of some footstep sound effects, and then I also grabbed some room tone from outside. I'll also link both in the description in case you need something like that. Then I just lined up the steps to my steps on screen. Then I slapped the room tone in the background. Then I finally added the sounds of an ocean in the background, and I kind of mixed that more in the background just so it kind of ties everything together. It makes you really believe that they're at the beach because, you know, there would be ocean at the beach. Then just add your music on top of it, mix it all together, and it should sound like this. Once again, there's no major edit worth talking about until we get to the flashback sequence. Now the flashback itself is just a fade to white, and the sound for it is just an amalgam of different sounds, being a grenade explosion, a whoosh sound, and Indiana Jones's whip crack, all reversed and all slowed down immensely to give it that cinematic effect. Moving on to the shot of the coin falling in the water. I noticed when I watched the original sequence, I wasn't really happy with how the two clips cut between the coin falling down and the coin resting in the sand. I don't know, to me it was just too jarring. It didn't really flow. Water puns. Get used to them. To fix this, I grabbed a smoke asset from Action Essentials, and then I color corrected it to match that orange tint in my original footage. And there you go, the pacing feels immensely better to me. And finally, we get to this shot, and oh boy, was this a pain. And it shouldn't have been. We were in a rush to finish this final shot because the tide was coming in and the lifeguards wanted us off the island. So I quickly ran over and put my camera down onto the ground without really looking at the frame, and unfortunately, I may have caught my windsock in the entire top right frame, which made it pretty much unusable. Plus, there was this guy taking a selfie in the bottom right, in which it's not cinematic. And you're probably thinking to yourself, couldn't I have just reshot this? And the answer is probably. I probably could have, but it's a little bit of a pain to coordinate everything together. Plus, we were kind of running out of time with it, so I just wanted to get the video up and take the hit in editing. So first off, I took a still of my video and I imported it into GIMP, which is an image manipulation program. But you can use whatever you have at your disposal. If you have Photoshop, great. There's also Paint.net, which I think is free, so you can check that out if you need to. Then I erased all the background, and finally we end up with this. Then I took that back into Final Cut, and I brought that into the timeline and duplicated another layer of the exact same thing. So then I cropped it on both sides of the video so I could still see me and Jeremy walking on the beach, and then bam, that got rid of the windsock, but it also got rid of the sky and the ocean in the process. So I had to put that in as well. So luckily, I had some clean footage of a sky we filmed earlier, as well as an ocean shot that I needed for a static shot earlier in the video. Then I added a blue screen effect to my original video to isolate me and Jeremy walking on the beach from the skies. It doesn't look perfect, but that's what feathering is for. I then placed my stock footage underneath my main video layer and cropped the two of them to match my scene. Then I color corrected everything to match each other. That was important so nothing looked out of place. Then after having everything color corrected and composited together, I exported it out as a single video and brought it back in and copied that layer multiple times because I was not happy in the original footage with how the coins looked on the sand. They didn't stick out enough for me, so I wanted to alter their color without altering the background. So with all those new layers I made, I masked around each coin to isolate them from the original video footage. So I added a color correction on all of them, dragged up the saturation until they were a nice bright gold. To make them stand out even more, I went onto Google and found some stock lens flares, brought them into Final Cut, and put it over the gold coins, and then used the screen effect to make the black part transparent. Then I placed the lens flares on the very edge of the coins to make it more shiny and reflective. Finally, to tie everything together, I took another stock photo of a sun flare coming from the top right to give the coins a reason to be shining with lens flares. They wouldn't just be doing it. And it's kind of nice because the haze from the light helps blend everything together and make it look as one. And that is everything in this short. If you like this video and the video I was covering and you want to see more, be sure to slam that like button and also consider subscribing. That way you can check out all the new videos that we come out with in the future. But until then, that's where we end this episode off. I hope you found something useful and I hope you enjoyed it, if nothing else. I'm Tristan, this is Hidden Light Films, and peace.